connecting you. This is Iowa's News Now at 10.
We know how to kind of get in the right spot, the right time kind of thing, but that's what we're watching right now. Big funnel cloud passing right over West Branch.
Iowa's News Now in the thick of it all. That was Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart out during today's storms as a funnel cloud passed through the West Branch. We've got team coverage coming up. But first, let's get things over to Weather First meteorologist Rebecca Kopelman. It was just a nightmare of a day. I mean, just going through Coralville and seeing the massive destruction.
And you saw it firsthand. And it is kind of the worst kind of scenario when we knew there were going to be multiple violent tornadoes today. And you can hope that they all end up in fields. But unfortunately, we did have damage to homes and some of people's property were destroyed. Thankfully, we haven't heard of any major injuries, but we do have a lot of damage that people are having to clean up, picking up the pieces of their homes. In fact, we've seen pieces of people's homes getting picked up and thrown by these tornadoes by nearly 100 miles. So this is just telling of the volatile day that we had today, and it is kind of the worst situation when we have to talk about not just tornadoes, but multiple ones of them, and violent ones at that. So this is just a look at some of the storm reports, and you can see some of those markers where we had these reds for funnel clouds or tornadoes, and then we also have a lot of these wind reports that were likely also some tornadoes too. And we had multiple images that we brought you live on the air of these tornadoes forming, coming through, giving you that warning and giving you the proof that it was happening. And we'll continue to give you updates on the Weather Service as they do their assessment of these storms. Thankfully, this is all pushed to the east. We knew it would be a fast event, well to the east of the Mississippi, and we're done with it. The actual storm system, though, is still coming through. We have this large low pressure system pulling in some colder air, and we are going to have temperatures dropping as we head through the rest of the night tonight. Winds are going to be picking up, which could hinder some of the cleanup operations, as well as a lot of power is still out and crews are working to restore that. And we also have a lot of tree damage that was done too in many locations. We're going to talk more about what you can expect for the rest of the weekend, and unfortunately more spring severe weather in the forecast in your full forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Rebecca. And continuing our team coverage, Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart had a busy day tracking these storms out in the field. He caught several funnel clouds on camera, and Nick's live outside the Road Warrior tonight with a recap for us. Nick?
And as those tornadoes threatened eastern Iowa tonight, we were bringing those tornadoes to you live with the Iowa's News Now Weather First Road Warrior. Tonight, after the storms have passed, residents and farmers alike are starting to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, there's a big plume of dust getting kicked up in the air.
Several tornadoes raced through eastern Iowa Friday, moving into Johnson County. In Solon, several homes sustained damage on the west side of town. The indication a tornado was looming didn't come just from alerts to their phone, but came falling to the ground.
Watching the storm, we could see debris just falling out of the sky, corn stalks, pieces of siding, pieces of roofing, you know. It was pretty intense. You could hear it.
A suspected tornado moved through northern Johnson County just north of Solon. It completely destroyed this machine shed. It sent debris flying out in the field. In fact, the winds were so strong, it took a semi-tractor trailer and sent it rolling through the field. Another indication of how strong the wind gusts were. Power lines out in the field completely knocked down. Around 6:30 on Friday evening, about 5,000 customers were in the dark in Johnson County.
It was kind of a bizarre scene outside, and obviously the strong winds, kicked in, and we were hoping that, everything was going to be okay, but unfortunately, this was the result.
Cleanup will take weeks, if not months, in the hardest hit areas. For farmers impacted by this early spring storm, the timing could not be much worse.
We just need to evaluate the condition of the equipment and certainly hope that we can, get things done with the planting season coming up, but we have yet to determine that.
And I talked to a lot of people today in Johnson County. The best news about all of this is that everyone had the warning. Nobody was caught off guard, in part due to the fact that we were talking about the severe weather threat for 6 consecutive days. Live at Broadcast Park, I'm meteorologist Nick Stewart, Iowa's News Now.
And checking out some more damage tonight, here was the view at the Coralville Plaza after those storms rolled through this afternoon. Just a total mess right there. Unbelievable. And I got to check out some damage in Coralville between newscasts this evening. Businesses and residential areas had power outages, trees taking up sidewalks, shingles everywhere. And we came across this house in the 2100 block of 10th Street. It had its roof completely blown off while the family took shelter in the basement. The owner told me it was a grim reminder of the derecho. The father of 6 says he's not sure what he's going to do now.
We want to call the assurance to know how we can go because I have a kid.
We also saw Iowa Nice on full display with neighbors rushing to help already. Austin lives a few blocks away. He was walking to check the damage in the neighborhood and stopped to help a family whose house suffered tree damage and lost several shingles.
I don't know, I guess whatever they need. I mean, it's kind of just learned of the damage 30 minutes ago, so yeah.
Right now, Coralville Mayor Megan Foster is asking everyone to stay calm and let emergency crews do their work.
Really important that everyone stay home and let our first responders do their jobs. As I said, we've had quite a bit of damage in our community. I know that a lot of you are concerned about your neighbors. I'm concerned as well. The biggest thing, though, is that we need to make sure we get everything cleaned up and cleared away.
And now to Solon, where Hawkeye fans are cheering on the girls in the Final Four and braving tonight's storms in the best place possible, Big Grove Brewery.
Kitchen, all of our customers, all the employees that were here, and next thing you know, looks like the world's going sideways.
The Iowa women's basketball team is facing off against South Carolina in the Final Four right now. Iowa's News Now anchor Mitch Fick continues our live journey through the tourney coverage. Mitch?
Well, I got Owen with me, too. Do you want to start things, Owen?
Yeah, I figured I'd decide to come. We've got basketball behind us. We've got the court access, as you can see over the shoulder right there, and we're watching the game on Mitch's phone as we go along.
Millennials, yeah. And what a game it is. There's so much talk about this was going to be the most watched women's basketball game ever. If it ends up being that, it merits the status. It has been an unbelievable back-and-forth game. Iowa leading by 3 right now with about 90 seconds left in the third quarter. What a night it's been. What a day it's been. Hawkeye fans travel. We all know that. And, boy, that Hawkeye huddle we went to earlier today, packed to the brim at the Ritz-Carlton, including with a guy who was behind the mic at Carver Hawkeye Arena for 18 seasons, including that Final Four run in 1993. An emotional day for him, for sure. Take a listen.
You think it'll happen quickly. 30 years. It's just so much fun. And I'm so proud and so happy. I have a good friend that moved down here in 1980, and I warned him. That's who I'm staying with. I said, Ken, you will not believe how the Iowa people will travel. And, you know, we had a good crowd in 93. Nothing like this.
If you build it or have a lot at stake in a major sporting event, Iowa fans will come. That's just how it works. Lots of stuff to get to. We got a whole nother quarter. This game is wild. We got to get back to keeping track of it. Tune into all our social media, I guess. Overnight, we're going to get things out, all the post-game reaction, everything here from Dallas. Hopefully prepping for something on Sunday, and more history could be made. A win tonight to do it. Boy, what could happen Sunday? We got to get through the fourth quarter first, though. Live from the bowels of American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, Owen, Siebring, and Mitch Fick, Iowa's News Now.
After the break, an update to the killing of Michelle Martinko back in 1979, what the Iowa Supreme Court has decided on her killer's request to an appeal for his conviction. That's coming up on Iowa's News Now.
Iowa's News Now Sports Journey Through the Tourney, sponsored by Imon Communications.
A man is arrested and charged with attempted murder relating to a shooting on February 17. 65-year-old James Sanford Jr. was arrested Thursday and is facing charges of willful injury, causing serious injury, domestic assault, and for using a dangerous weapon. A man and woman were shot. Thankfully, both survived. Police say the shooting happened soon after 4:30 in the morning on February 17 at 3000 J Street Southwest. And now to a cold case update out of Cedar Rapids. The man convicted of killing Michelle Martinko back in 1979 lost his appeal to the Iowa Supreme Court today. Jerry Burns was convicted of first-degree murder back in February of 2020. Prosecutors argue Burns left his straw behind as trash, and items left behind aren't constitutionally protected. Burns' attorneys say there wasn't a warrant to get the DNA from the straw, arguing his Fourth Amendment rights were violated. The Des Moines Register says it was a 5-2 decision, with the majority finding police followed the necessary and legal protocols to get the DNA, and also agreeing Burns' rights were not violated under state or federal law.
And we had a significant severe weather outbreak across eastern Iowa today, and it's telling in what's happening with our temperatures. We peaked in the low 70s today, first time hitting the 70s, and now we're down in the 30s. Powerful storm system continues to move through. We're going to, though, talk about what you can expect on the other side with much colder air now moving into place in your forecast right after this.
At least one person is dead and dozens more injured in Arkansas today after several tornadoes ripped through the state. The state's capital suffered the majority of the damage, with dozens of homes destroyed. At least 40 people were injured in the Little Rock area. 5 are in critical condition. The twisters were part of a larger system of severe thunderstorms in the Midwest and South. The National Weather Service issued a tornado watch for much of the region, spanning from southern Wisconsin all the way south into Texas. And we're seeing lots of damage from those catastrophic winds across the Midwest tonight as well, leaving behind downed trees, debris, and damaged buildings in Solon. Iowa City Public Works getting some hard hits today with the storm. You can see the roof is not roofing over there. We saw some pretty powerful winds today, so we're expecting more damage reports throughout the night and coming days. And here's a look to our southeast Keokuk County, where someone in Hedrick caught this funnel cloud on camera this afternoon. And not only were tornadoes a concern today, but also hail. Kevin Cavalin taking this video today from the Iowa State University campus. And the estimated size of the hail was about the size of a quarter. And people are picking up the pieces tonight in Hills after a possible tornado ripped through part of the town. Several homes were heavily damaged or destroyed on the west side of town. A storage building with several units was also flattened in the storm, leaving those not in the path to have to figure out what they could salvage. But the important thing is there were no serious injuries in small Johnson County towns. Iowa's News Now anchor Nick Weig arrived there shortly after the tornado hit and spoke with one survivor who was just happy his family and their coming addition are safe.
The threat of a tornado striking was well advertised across eastern Iowa, including here in Hills, and that's why many people went to their basements as a precaution, but even they didn't expect what they found when they came back up.
They all acted very quickly and got us out of the house safely.
Hard to believe, but Jacob Dilks, his wife, and 2-year-old son walked out of this safe and sound just moments after the unthinkable.
Saw that the tornado was coming right at the house and ran over and jumped on my wife real quick and threw a queen-size mattress on top of her and my 2-year-old son, and she's due with a baby in about 4 days, so yeah.
How's she doing?
She's doing good. We got her over to the Hills Fire Department. They were great. They took care of her over there and my 2-year-old son, and we just got them with some friends and family and got them shipped back up to their house in Coralville.
Now Jacob and those friends and family are helping him find not only what they can salvage, but what his son needs right now.
My son, he was born with spina bifida, so he has certain supplies and seizure medication and everything. So fortunately, we were able to find the majority of what we needed to hopefully get us through for the next few days.
Jacob admits he thought this would just be another severe weather event he would just watch play out on TV.
They happen. It does happen to you, even though you think it might not. This can be rebuilt. Things can be repurchased. I just hope that everybody was okay.
A shelter has been set up here in town for anyone who might need it. But again, the best news of all, despite all this damage, nobody was seriously hurt. In Hills, Nick Weig, Iowa's News Now.
And of course, we're talking about some damage in Coralville, heavily populated area as well, and didn't hear of any reports of injuries in the Johnson County area, where they had 3 separate locations with damage. And then we had kind of where the beginnings were down around Keokuk and Washington counties around Hedrick, which is down in the southern portion of our area and up to Swisher and Cedar Rapids. We have been seeing pictures of debris and, I mean, items from these people's homes coming all the way 80, 90, nearly 100 miles away, just telling of how powerful the storm was, and a situation that was incredibly rare and not something that happens, in fact, every year, with these very violent tornadoes and multiple of them ongoing, which was the case as we went through this afternoon in the southeast, and we brought you the images live on the air of these tornadoes and the damage that was happening. And we are going to, of course, have to take some time to assess the situation with the Weather Service, but at least around 20 instances of some damage and some, or at least reports of tornadoes. That is kind of my early number, at least in terms of what we're looking at for the possibility of the number of tornadoes. Some of those may end up being combined if the tornadoes were on the ground the entire time. Some of them came from the same cell, but a lot of them were multiple different storms. But a lot of damage reported across the area from wind, from hail, and of course the tornadoes. And this storm system, with the severe weather, is thankfully off to the east, but we do have the cold air wrapping in on the backside and some strong winds coming in as well. That is a kind of a concern because there is a lot of power line damage and tree damage that's happened, so that could hinder some of the cleanup here. We do have winds of around 20, 30 miles per hour ongoing right now. There's been some 50 mile per hour gusts earlier in the evening off to our west. Right now, 40 in Grand Island, so it's going to continue to be a gusty night, and definitely something to be aware of, especially as the sun is down now. You want to make sure that you are not walking around with this the potential that we could see some branches still come down with the gusty winds. We do have so much colder air that's coming into place too. We started off the day with some chilly conditions, warmed up into the 70s, and now we're talking about 30s and 40s, and it is going to be a cool start to the weekend. We have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings, blizzard warnings nearby. As the backside of the system brings in some more wintry weather, we're going to have the possibility of seeing a wintry mix and some light snow overnight into early Saturday morning. Winds persist out of the north as we head into tonight, and then tomorrow we'll go into Sunday. The winds pick back up out of the south and warmer air moves in, and the spring weather sticks around, and unfortunately we're monitoring the potential for more severe weather as we go into Tuesday. We were able to give several days heads up of this extreme weather event, and now we have to talk again several days out of the potential on Tuesday. And meteorologist Cayson Frerichs is going to break down more about what was so rare about the situation today.
Yeah, Rebecca, obviously when we see that high risk is issued, you don't normally see it as what it is, but obviously that indicates that we are going to have severe weather and long track dangerous tornadoes here, and that's certainly what took place in eastern Iowa. And when I say it's rare, yeah, it's certainly very rare. The last time that we saw this actually in Iowa was all the way back in 2014, June of 2014. Go around the rest of the United States here, we have to go back to 2021, March 17th and 25th, where we had tornado outbreaks down into the deep south. So that was how we started off the morning, and we knew that obviously that risk was increasing. Then we got the rare, particularly dangerous situation tornado watch that was issued, of course also indicating that long-lived intense tornadoes were going to be very likely, and that's of course what we saw today. We were able to capture a lot of this, whether that was in the roadway or out on some of our cameras here in eastern Iowa, tornadoes in Ottumwa, near Malcolm and Brooklyn, as well as in Coralville, and even capturing one close to West Branch. Of course, it was a dangerous day out there for many folks. Lots of damage from these tornadoes that we saw. A lot of folks this weekend and for the next couple of weeks going to be picking up a lot from their livelihood. We'll have more Iowa's News Now when we come back.
That's dust. All right, confirmed tornado. You can see dust now. Confirmed tornado. You're watching it live right here on Iowa's News Now. Confirmed tornado right near the Malcolm area, US 63 near Malcolm. Rebecca?
And that was meteorologist Nick Stewart, who was out in the Road Warrior today, capturing tornadoes touching down, showing you the process of what was going on and giving you warning ahead of this tornado outbreak that happened today. And Nick's here now, and obviously this is not something that we want to see. We had been talking about this though for 6 days prior to it happening.
Yeah, it was a long duration, a long duration. I feel like I've been talking about it forever and ever and ever. I think people were kind of tired of us talking about it so much, but in part of it, it was so well forecast. We knew it was coming. The signal was there. The models were very much in agreement, and it was pretty, at least easy to see for me and us and all of that, that we kind of knew where the big severe weather threat was going to be today here in eastern Iowa.
And quite a volatile day with multiple tornadoes being reported. I mean, we were showing these images that were going through social media, twin tornadoes, debris that was being lofted. I mean, you were driving 60, 70 miles away from where a tornado had occurred, and we were seeing debris coming out of the air. And we then were talking about these multiple tornadoes coming down and able to share with the National Weather Service what was happening. And as we were giving the early warning days and days ahead of time, then the day of, we're giving early warning to people at home and helping the Weather Service as well.
Yeah, some of the reports, like that initial report for that tornado, we saw that funnel cloud. That's what preempted the tornado warning being issued. And then when we saw the tornado take place, they then upgraded the tornado warning to a tornado confirmed. So it's the process of a two-way information. We provide information to the Weather Service. They provide us, obviously, the warnings and all that kind of thing. So it's a really fluid, great, I guess, communication that we have between ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's also very important for people to actually see the proof of what's going on and understand this was a serious situation that occurred today and an unfortunate one. Thankfully, we haven't heard of any major injuries, but we do know that a lot of people are going to be still picking up the pieces for several days. And we will, of course, have more when we return right back here on Iowa's News Now.
Iowa's News Now Sports Journey Through the Tourney, sponsored by Unavailable Communications.
Here is a look at the scoreboard right now in the Iowa women's basketball Final Four game against South Carolina. It has been a tight fight all night long and right up to the very end, 69-68 right now. Iowa with the lead and just 4 minutes left in the game.
And obviously a very exciting day for Hawkeye fans, but it was also very close to home that we had tornadoes come through right around the Coralville area. Iowa City thankfully spared, but we do have a lot of damage still around the area. Johnson County Sheriff's Office asking people to avoid Hills, Solon, and the Coralville area as they're doing cleanup. We also have damage down in Keokuk and Washington counties and other parts of the area. Now, we do have some dry days this weekend, just going to be dealing with the wind, especially tonight into early tomorrow morning. Could even see some snowflakes with this powerful early spring storm that's leading to blizzard conditions just over the border into Minnesota and is going to lead to a much colder day tomorrow. We then will have some warmer air coming in by Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday we get back into that spring feel, and in fact by Tuesday we're in eastern Iowa. So of course we continue to fine tune those details. We will keep you posted, but a volatile day across eastern Iowa. Will continue to provide you updates on the situation as cleanup now continues throughout this weekend.
March really went out like a lion.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night.